Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday with William, and we're playing a Warble with some Wong. And I don't think I'm. And Web Warriors. There we go. I remember the W's from before. That's what
There
happens
you
on
go. Can't go
Wednesday.
wrong. Can't go wrong.
We're doing a little bit different intro today. We're going to record this into a separate video on this, which is really, really cool and exciting. That's what you're going to be watching right now if you are on YouTube. I guess Bill's OCD is kind of kicking in right
It's
now.
kicking
He's
off.
touching all my
Yeah.
stuff. And he doesn't even
It's
put
been,
it properly on. Ah, you can't.
it's been gridded. Yeah. It's real frustrating.
All right. We're just gonna pretty much discuss. Hey. None of that. None of that. I need to read that. Oh man. All right. It is nightmare. So that fixes itself up in TTS. So I'll go over that in just a moment. When you put it in your little in your character tray, Wasp actually fixes itself up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was very cool.
So look, I'm going to go over Bill's team personally, and then Bill's going to go over my team and kind of get our thought process and what we're expecting. I think this is really important when you first come to a table, looking at your opponent's team and saying, cool, what are their goals? What is the most likely thing that's going to happen? And how do I then bring my strategy towards that? Obviously, that's very much going to change based on the missions that we pick. So we'll kind of do a bit of a discussion, pick the missions, and then kind of see how our thoughts worked on that as well. So for starters, look, Bill's played Web Warriors a good chunk. I kind of know his strategy on Web Warriors. I know that depending on if he gets blue cards, he's probably going to want to pick Web Warriors because they're really good on the secures. He's going to want to play like canisters and stuff like that, the serum canisters. So if I win the roll and get blue, he might actually switch defenders. So that's kind of what I see immediately when I see Web Warriors versus defenders. I see obviously a very controlling list. I'm going to have to bring probably not so tanky characters. I don't think I need to bring anyone that has to weather a storm or anything like that. Maybe like the Thors, or even the Caps, or if I'm bringing any, reduce your damage by 1. I don't actually have to worry about that much if he's going down the Web Warrior path. Even looking on the other side, I've got Black Panther, doesn't dish out a huge amount of damage. Shuri and Okoye, there's not a lot of damage in this list, so I don't have to worry about having really, really big, blocky defenders kind of dealing with this. Of course, Doctor Strange defenders, really, really huge. I've got to be definitely careful about the defenses I do bring, because being able to swap between those weaker defenses is going to be a big downfall if I do focus on that. On the flip side, Wong, Shuri, he's probably got R&D as one of his cards, advanced R&D, so I'm expecting some pretty big early turns if we do end up in Web Warriors as well. On the other side, we've got Black Panther, huge tank. We got the Defenders affiliation, I assume. Is Black Panther part of the Defenders?
No, Spider-Man is part of the Defenders affiliation.
So Black Panther is an interesting one here. I guess you can also potentially switch into a Wakanda team if you're super desperate. So that's really interesting. You've possibly got Defenders, Wakanda, and Spideys.
Web Warriors, yeah.
So that's really interesting. Definitely going to have to worry about that. But again, not a huge hitting team I'm seeing. And that's probably where I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to try and definitely focus on some movement associated, or some maybe squishier targets of mine that can hit really, really hard. Valkyrie, Baron, Zemo, things like that. So that's what I see from the characters. Moving on, you got the Soul Gem. That's purely for Doctor Strange. That's fine. That's pretty much attack on. Just going on some cards. Lethal Protector, Uneasy Allies. So I can see already he's got a huge amount of cards all webbed up. So if he doesn't end up picking Web Warriors, he's actually going to be down a huge chunk of his fancy cards. You've obviously got your Brace for Impact and a couple other basics. But like what? Doomed Prophecy, Med Pack, Brace for Impact, and Advanced R&D is what he's going to be focusing on if he doesn't get his Web Warriors. So I probably want to focus on him not getting Web Warriors because he's put so many eggs in that basket. Finally, on missions, crazy enough, there's the Serum Canisters, Extremist Console. So you're looking at Map D, Map B, and Map D. Roll dice equal to energy defense. I think it's irrelevant. If you get the blue ones, he's pretty much just going Serum Canisters and picking Web Warriors. That's the expected one. So I have to focus more on the red ones. What's he going to be doing here? We got Mystic Beams, we've got Panic Groups Evacuation, so citizens, so potentially even trying to pick up all the citizens, hide away and evacuate them immediately is something I can definitely see happening. So again, movement is what I'm really focusing on. Hammers, we're going to be punching pretty hard, so maybe that's going to make up for a bunch of that weaker attacks that he's going to be offering. So already I'm thinking small movement is just not going to cut it in this right now. That's immediately thinking of the team. I cannot have a short movement. I think I need my long to medium movements or free movements around the board to really get going. But yeah, look, that's what I can see from that. I'm just going to give a really, really quick rundown of like what that means for me. And like I said, Zemo, long movement, really good. MODOK, small movement, really bad. Ghost Rider, long movement, pretty good. Valkyrie with the charge, also pretty solid. So that's kind of what I think immediately. But I won't go too far into that. I'm going to see what Bill thinks about my team, and we can break it down from there. So on to you, Bill. What do you reckon? What's your biggest stress or problems when focusing against my team?
Yes, well, as you know that I'm a big Web Warriors fan, I know you're a big Cabal fan. So when I look over on the other side of the table, I see a Red Skull, I see a Baron Zemo, I see a MODOK. I reckon that's probably down an angle you definitely want to go. But I also know that recently you've been having a really good time with Ghost Rider and having a lot of fun with that. So obviously you're rocking a dual affiliation here with Doctor Strange and Red Skull. You've got Defenders and Cabal. And that kind of splits quite nicely down the middle, as for your Defenders can be your King of the Hill control-y team, and your Cabal can be your I need this game to go for a really long time and I need to murder things. So that's going to be a really nice split, and you're kind of prepared either way. Let's see. So you're rocking Cosmic Invigoration, Disarm, which is a favorite of yours, Aim Lackeys, Highway to Hell, Brace for Impact, Seven Sons of Cinnabis, Pentagram. So you've actually got quite an even split, leaning slightly towards more Defenders. What else am I seeing here? You've got Ghost Rider and you've got Wasp, so you've got the potential to do some serious power, power sapping, which would be good if I bring anything that has some mass generation, which isn't super strong on my side. I definitely am power hungry in the sense that I need a lot of people to have 2 power or 4 power at any given point, which I think will be a really nice counter to that. But I think where those two really shine is when you've got people like Thor, or you've got people like the Hulk, or anyone who's trying to spend 7 power in a turn just to completely shut them down. Interestingly enough, you've got a MODOK here, which slow movement on the maps that I'm bringing is going to be really great for me. However, because I'm quite squishy, if you decide to go down the kill people path, MODOK is going to have a really good time messing around with all my Spidey folks. So I really have to consider that when building my team, depending on the missions we're playing. Speaking of, going to our extracts, we have Struggle for the Cube. We have the Montesi formula bound, and hammers. So on your extracts, Struggle for the Cube is a really good counter for Web Warriors because we're quite low across the board on health. Anything that gives us automatic damage is really bad. That and Gamma Waves, which I just having a quick look over, you also have bought Gamma Waves. Both excellent counters either way if you decide to play them. You've got I have never played the Montesi formula found, so I'm not really sure how that's going to play, but I'm very curious to see.
Night. It's really interesting. So it's a pickup mission, but you're running down the middle. So there's only 3 objectives, so it's actually a really low VP game, which I think if I'm sorry to interrupt, but if I'm playing a control style list or anything like that, having less VP on the table means I have more time to try and deal with the threats or get them or kill or something like that. So really
so I was going to say, if you're trying to slow down the game, I feel like that really benefits kill list. So I think if you were to play things like Cabal, this extract would be really good for you because one, you're getting more attacks, right? Beam attacks work great with Cabal because you get your affiliation ability, which is you get an extra power. So beam attacks are very overpowered. So especially for Cabal. So if you're bringing that and everyone's getting a friggin' Mystic Beam attack because they're picking up a spellbook, that's a great mix for that.
Per person though, so that's really interesting as well. It means that again, if you're playing something like a Web Warriors list, you can't just stack it on the one person and just run away for a while.
Yes. And then over here we've got hammers, which again is great. You're going to be hitting harder, so again that really benefits that Cabal team. Or if you want to, you can be running Defenders because you won't be affected by the team tactics so much because you're going to be able to generate a lot of power. Moving over to your secures, you got Gamma Wave, which again, excellent counter for Web Warriors. They really want to be out and about having a good time. So if you place this down, there's a good chance I'm going to be switching over to Defenders. Just because, again, anything that's doing that automatic damage and it really forces those Web Warriors to be in the middle. Otherwise, they're going to start getting taken apart. And then if they're in the middle, suddenly if you've got a kill team there, you're going to be like, oh, cool, I'm going to throw Doomsday Chair into Spider-Man, and they're both going to take a buttload of damage, and everyone's going to have a real bad time. So really got to keep an eye out for Gammas. Moving over, we've got Demon down to yes. Now
so this is the new one.
This is the Ghost Rider one. Yeah, Ghost Rider. Yep. This one is awful to verse if you're not a super tanky team. So this is again where I'd start considering either like Wakanda or Defenders, because basically having that Incinerate, especially against Web Warriors, is a really good counterplay, because
I love Incinerate. It's been incredible.
Yeah, their benefit comes from bringing out a reroll dice. So the more dice they have and the more they can reroll, the better it is, right? Both my Spider-Mans are getting 3 rolls with their inbuilt ability and with their Web Warriors affiliation, right?
You can reroll 2 dice as much as you want, buddy. The most you can cap out on is 2.
2, exactly. So that's Incinerate. It really, really hurts me. And again, it's that E-type deployment, which is going to force everybody into the middle.
Yeah.
And on top of that, again, because you're only scoring 1 victory point, it slows the game right down. So you've got a kill list that can kill things really easily, and then also they're incinerated in the center. You're suddenly on the other side being like, oh man, what am I going to do here? You have to bring like the Hulk and Thor and all this super defensive text, because basically if you want to score, you're either going to need to be killing back or you're going to need to be super tanky, which is generally not the style I play. So I'm really hoping you don't bring the old team and one. I played it yesterday against a mate of ours, and he wrecked my face.
Another really small thing to the Flaming Portal is because Defenders have Hex quite readily available as well. So not only do you have 1 less dice, but your crits don't explode.
Yes, which is massive.
Absolutely
huge. Exactly. And then for our last mission, sorry to keep rambling on, but yes, okay, you got Origin Bombs. Again, this isn't terrible for Web Warriors. I generally try to stick clear of the roll dice equal to the energy defense.
Yeah.
But having lots of pulls and pushes with Web Warriors is a really nice way to counteract that, is that you can just kind of push people off and then you jump on it to make it a little bit easier for you to capture it. But generally speaking, you've picked some very good missions here. The 3 victory points a turn is a huge speed up for control teams. So I mean, if I can get lucky and I can do my pushes and pulls right with Web Warriors, I can actually benefit greatly from Deadly Meteors. It's just basically how the dice are feeling this day. You know, if I'm not rolling hot, then it's gonna be hard to mix around. Overall, it looks like you're leaning towards a potential Cabal list just because of what your mission choices are. You've got a lot of really great options to have people forced into the middle, and really great ways to do extra damage or to make me be more vulnerable. So it definitely makes me lean a little bit more towards my my Defenders or Wakanda, just for that extra tankiness or that extra control as needed.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'll quickly run over kind of my thoughts on your thoughts, funnily enough, and we'll do yours as well. And then we'll jump straight into a game, just so we can really showcase to people kind of what you should be thinking about when you jump into this game, right? What is the mentality? I know I definitely fell into the kind of the trope of like, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to bring my team of 5, and that's what's going to happen. And whatever mission it is, whatever's happening, that's my team. I know my 5 cards that I'm bringing. I know my 4 to 5 characters. And as much as I love that style, that's not how you should be playing the game, strictly.
It's definitely how people start off. I did the same thing. Everyone knows done the same thing. They look and they go, oh yeah, I just want to bring these guys. And then suddenly you start going, actually, you know what? There's some really other cool things. And naturally you just get to that point where you want to bring 10 and you want to have that option and stuff like that. It's good. It's good depth.
Yeah. So look, I'll quickly run through. Definitely. Look, my missions very much focus on having people close together in the middle. They're not spread out. I'm definitely a kill list when it does come to things like Cabal. If I can get into range of you, I want to end your whole career. And I switch over to something like Defenders if I know that you've got a really high energy cap. Now again, I'm not talking Web Warriors that have 2 or 3 energy and will spend 2 or 3 energy every turn. That doesn't necessarily help me much. I mean, Wasp definitely fits well there.
Oh, so you mean power, yeah?
Power, sorry, yes, no, of course, thank you.
All good.
But if you have things exactly like Thor, Hulk, etc., I can bring in Ghost Rider. I can bring in Wasp, and I can just turn around on your big turn when we're already clamped up in the middle, and Thor's got God of Thunder 4 of my characters. I can just turn around and say, well, actually, you have 0 power.
Yeah, good luck with
0 power. Not 2 or 4 or whatever it is. I throw like 5 dice at you, 10 dice at you plus, and for each damage, I'll drop you down to 0. So that's absolutely huge. So that's kind of why I bring the Defender side of that, and in particular Ghost Rider and Wasp. Otherwise, 100% trying to keep you all close up. maybe punch really hard. The Origin Bombs, if I can see across your team, which I think is pretty reasonable right now, you've only got like 3 and maybe 2 energy defense. With Doctor Strange obviously being 4, everyone else pretty much being 3. If I see your energy defense on the lower side, maybe a couple of 2s, then I might try and pop out Origin Bomb just because I've got Doctor Strange with 4, Ghost Rider with 4, and suddenly I can switch into that team. Wasp is definitely my weakest of 2, but I can switch into the 4/4 energy and just sit on Origin Bombs, and you don't really want to be near Ghost Rider or Doctor Strange pretty consistently because they just generate so much power themselves by being around people. So, just trying to cover a couple of bases and play towards the missions that I've brought to the game.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, as far as my side is concerned, you pretty much nailed everything I do. I thought my main split is between Web Warriors and Defenders, but Wakanda is there, especially for things like Gamma Wave, where they can have very good movement and really good pushes. So it's just because Gamma Wave is such a hard counter to Web Warriors, having Wakanda in the back pocket is really, really nice because you can basically just go in. Black Panther's got an automatic push. Shuri's got an automatic push.
Yeah.
All I need to do is add, like, let's say Ghost Spider, let's say Venom, let's say Spider-Man or the other Spider-Man. Like, all of these guys have got really good maneuverability, and suddenly I've got really great ways to be able to capitalize on all of these objectives, and I've got really good movement. So Wakanda's definitely there to just pick up the slack on functions that really struggle with Web Warriors. Basically, the way I'm going to try and aim for it is just really going to depend on what you end up picking, because if it's Gamma, then I'm in a lot of trouble. That's going to be Web Warriors that are going to be in a fair amount of trouble. And in that case, you're definitely looking at Black Panther, you're looking at Doctor Strange. But if there's a bit more space and you're not towards the middle, if you have like a D or an F or a B, all of these deployments work in my favor. So it's what I'm going to end up bringing is going to be very dependent on that. But there's definitely a few options. I'm very keen to get into our game today.
100%. So look, what if we rolled our dice before? I think I won on the double hit and a crit. So let's pick the missions. Look again, looking at the Web Warrior straight away, I think I have to take blue, just because giving him serum canisters as a potential is actually quite game ending for me. It's not the worst in the world, but it means that if he runs a really low threat, high number of characters list, he's always going to have the priority at the end to just push me off an objective. I don't get the power, I don't get the win. You know, so that's huge. So I'm going to straight up take blue.
Generally good play. Yeah. So that's where the choices, I guess we didn't quite get into, but the choices for your extracts as a Web Warrior player are actually super important, because if you're versing someone who's aware of that, you're going to want secures. Suddenly you want to be looking at you're definitely going to want to be looking at what reds you can do. Hammers is quite good because you can pick up multiple and you get to move around.
Yeah.
And so you can have some very good movement. One I didn't realize, which I think is excellent, is Panic Grip City as evacuation efforts continue.
Yeah.
Because you can only hold one, but Spider-Man Miles Morales has got the option to make you drop an objective.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, big play, 10 power. So obviously a massive play, but you could do a web swing, Venom Blast. No, hang on, no. So you can Venom Blast, and then you can pick up the objective and immediately evacuate it.
Yeah, and get the 2 VP. And that's another thing. If you can get those citizens quickly and evacuate one or two of them, and we're fighting over one citizen, and you're already 3 or 4 points ahead. You know, if there's only 3 turns left in the game, you can't get enough VP from citizens to win. You got to focus on the other objectives as well.
Exactly. And the other really important thing is that you score the points immediately. So if you're sitting on one citizen and you're on 14, you can win before the end of the game.
Yeah.
And also, and if you're holding 2 citizens and you're on, 12, suddenly you've gone from 12 to a win before your opponent can score, and you can do some very big plays with that.
So 100%. So look, suddenly looking at Bill's, I know he's got 17, 18, and 19 threat. So after removing one of mine, I can see mine, and I have the option of actually doing this and putting a really high threat on the board, based on what he chooses. I think that can be pretty huge, but I think this in particular counters a lot of his team. Obviously, it counters mine a fair bit as well. But I have Doctor Strange that can offer a lot of defensive roles and things like that. So I feel like having something like this can definitely hurt Wakanda, because, again, they take 1 less damage, but if they have less dice, they're defending less as well. So I think I'm actually going to try this one.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got yours picked. I've got
Yep.
mine picked, but I'll just go through my decision as well.
Yep.
So I got these options here. I got hammers and I've got formula. I'm definitely leaning more towards hammers for more space, basically. Because you've got Cabal and you have the option to bring Modok, or you have the option to bring Doctor Strange, who's really great utility for those E-type deployments of your objectives. I really don't want to be promoting anything that helps you go in the middle, basically. So I think there was definitely an angle of like, okay, I have to do hammers. So that's what I'm going to flip and put over here.
Alrighty, so that makes a lot of sense. If you did the Montesi formula, I think this game would have been a completely like broken game, because I chose the E deployment with the incinerator. So it means that we're getting beam attacks and there's a lot of incinerating, a lot of damage. So my logic is with incinerate, even if you have the Wakanda crew, obviously Black Panther very tanky and things like that, but you lose a lot of that tankiness by taking away a dice. So if I can bring a heavy hitter squad, which is what I have against you, I think that you will struggle simply to survive, and I think that's a goal here. That if I bring an offensive list, you have the ability to bring Black Panther, bring these defensive tools between Okoye, Shuri, etc. If I can incinerate the whole crew and force that away from you, suddenly that strength of Wakanda is definitely negated by quite a bit. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, this is going to be a very interesting matchup,
especially with hammers, incinerate and hammers. There's going to be dice flying everywhere.
Yeah.
This is going to be an absolute
Incinerate is going to be very scary. So this is going to be. I'm curious to see what you bring, and I'm curious what I'm going to bring as well. I think I've got a couple ideas, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, of course. So look, if you enjoyed this, hit a like, hit a comment. We'll do an actual video post of the game itself. That's going to be pretty much the next video up. These will all come up over the next couple days or a week or so. So check out our YouTube, check it all out there. You can see why we kind of discuss that and how it does end up in the long run. We're also going to do a breakdown at the end, which will be a separate video as well, about how correct, I guess, we were in regards to these thought processes and expectations that are going to happen during the game. So thank you all for watching this video. Really appreciate it. Like, comment below. Tell us what you thought about it. Tell us something that you want to see more of. Was it informative? Was it helpful to you as a player to kind of figure out what you were doing? But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you much for that one, Bill. But let's
no problem. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, see you folks. I'm going to throw on Ali. She'll tell you how you can check out all our different social medias.
Hey guys, it's Ellie. If you liked that video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more interesting content. You can also follow us on Facebook for more information and events. Likewise, follow us on Instagram for those behind the scenes photos and videos. See ya!